Welcome to the Dental Implant Practices podcast, where each episode will explore how to integrate dental implants into your practice and into bone, with your host, Dr. Philip Gordon.
Hey guys, thanks for being listeners of the show. Go to dentalimplantpractices.com and find all of our resources. Also find us on Facebook, Dental Implant Practices page on Facebook, and go to iTunes and leave me a review on iTunes so we can help spread the message. Thanks.
Welcome back to another episode of the Dental Implant Practices podcast. I'm your host, Philip Gordon, and today it's a huge honor for me to introduce Peyman Raissi, or Dr. Pey Ray, as he's known on the Facebook and internet. Peyman, thanks for being on the show today.
Thanks, Philip. Appreciate it. Very happy to be here.
So we were talking a little bit before we got started. I know that you said you're a 2014 graduate. Why don't you kind of talk me through, where you went to dental school, where you ended up practicing, why you're, how you got to the kind of the journey where you're at now? Because I think it's a really interesting story, and I think people would love to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a University of Tennessee grad. From 2014, right out of school, I was actually planning on moving to the West Coast and start practicing in Oregon or California or even Vegas. And somehow I ended up in pretty much right out of school, ended up in Nashville in a corporate practice. It's funny, a little background story, and I've said it a few times in different podcasts, but my aunt, I wanted to come get her dentures from the school. And as you know, in school, it takes forever trying to do all kinds of impression and wax drying and things like that. And so I told her, just stay in Nashville, go to one of the practices over there, and you could probably get it a lot sooner. So anyway, she ended up getting her dentures. Once I graduated on a Friday, I remembered, she asked me to go with her on a Monday for getting her dentures fixed and adjusted. And she was like, well, if you come with me, maybe they'll adjust it a little better. And I was like, okay, I'll go. And I went over to the practice and I saw them working on her dentures. Anyways, long story short, I started working there 3 days after graduation. They wanted me to stay in, and I pretty much, I didn't even have my diploma yet because you got to wait a few weeks. So I was just working as an assistant. Anyway, so right after school, I started working at the corporate affordable dentures and implants. And unfortunately, the practice owner became sick in June. And I ended up having to take over most of the implant side, pretty much because it was a $2 million practice. And I had to pretty much give what these patients paid money for and give them back either the uncovery and do the whole 9 yards, and the dentures and prosthetics that the previous doctor had started. So that's how I started working in a corporate. Funny story, right after 2015, a year after school, I ended up being able to produce about $4 million in the same practice. So we brought it from $2 million to $4 million. And that's where everything began. I went through so many CEs and courses, and pretty much like I was telling you before the podcast, how I needed to be so ready for these people that I feel, not just because I'm young right out of school, but I also look young. So these people don't even trust me to begin with. So I had to work extra hard, kind of like a short basketball player that had to work like 10 times more than the tall ones. The same thing with me. I've always felt like in this industry, I had to work extra hard just to be able to be safe, Yeah,
I think a lot of people can relate with that. You get out of school and you just jump right into a scenario. You don't always know as much as you'd hope, but implant dentistry is a little more complicated. How were you able to jump into a practice like that? I mean, obviously, maybe they had some support being a corporate model, but when I came out of dentistry, I knew very little about implants. What were some of the best CE courses you had, and what were some of the good things that you took away from that affordable dentures and implants? Because it sounds like you got a lot of experience, and that's
sure.
And I think that's what you need at first, is just lots of experience.
Absolutely. One of the things is, I always said with the corporate, and I'm still involved with the corporate and executives, they're very supportive, very nice people, and they pretty much, the CFO at the time, Jim Perry, he was giving me a lot of CE opportunities where I would go in and I'd come back and I kind of report, and I tell him, like, this is what I think we could do for some of the affiliates, and then it's a good opportunity. But when I started working, like I said, I bought everything I thought of, like doing Carl Misch's textbook and read this stuff like on my own chapter by chapter. A lot of people talk about CE weekend, but honestly, a lot of the best thing I've learned was through Facebook and like networking and talking to people. And I even said that some of these, like you were starting the Maxi course in Vegas. I think one of the great things you're going to gain from it, interaction with the doctors that are there, the networking. Like sometimes some of the best dentistry advice I've got was throughout like a lunch break or a little snack break through the CE, talking to these docs that have been working for 20 over 30 years and giving them or taking advice and kind of like a sponge. And that's how I was when I started working. I saw a lot of opportunities where I get to see these mentors coming from Dr. Picos's sinus grafting and bone grafting, taking Salama Brothers, pretty much the dental XP route of year of residency with the New York University that they have. A lot of different CEs, the weekend courses. I went to Mexico a couple times, Miami, like all on 4 courses. There's been so many to where, like I said, it's not a single course that I could mention. I mean, one of the ones that I always enjoyed, and I'm going to go back to take more courses, Dr. Picos's bone grafting. I felt like that made me very, very prepared. And after coming back from the courses, one of the things I say in the podcast is making case selection is the key, like diagnosis, and make sure that before you go to these courses, when you come back, you have something to do and practice exactly what you learned. Because if you don't get to do it, you're not going to really be the best at it, or start like you're going to be pretty late in the game. With the practice affordable dentures, I did have the opportunity, like you said, the experience was the key, because I would come in and do all kinds of stuff for even free on a lot of patients that I felt like this would be a good experience for me to just do some of these free gingival grafting or anything that I felt like it would be beneficial for the patient, and also myself leading and gaining experience. I enjoyed doing so.
Yeah, I think that's great. Sometimes you just got to work on your own game and not worry about, what else is going on. So, okay, here's what I know. Here's what I've got in my practice. What's gonna help me next, and then kind of evaluate where to go from there. And I think that's kind of how I do it. Say, okay, I want to learn more about bone grafting this year, or more to learn about tissue grafting, or go find people and mentors who are really good at that, and just try to absorb everything that they're doing, and then
absolutely,
and then take it into your office and try to replicate the same process.
Absolutely, that's the key. That being able to have a lot of mentors, and that's what I've been able to achieve and have and make a good relationship and network with a lot of good folks in the industry. It's a small community, like you said. The implant dentistry is a small community, and it's constantly growing. But be on the better part of it and better side, where we can actually be clinicians to eventually teach this stuff to other folks that they could do the same exact thing. It's been a blessing. Like I said, I would have never thought, even being now part of Implant Pathway, one of the faculties with Dr. Moody, and I know you took the course with them. So those are some of the things and like highlights of what I feel like I've been very blessed and lucky to achieve in a very short period since I've been out of school.
Now, did you meet him through the affordable dentures and implants?
Yeah, so that's where we first met. I used to be very active, a lot more like as far as posting cases online on different websites, and especially with the corporate affiliate with the affiliates, and that's where he saw me, and he's like, man, what is this kid doing over there in Nashville? So we then became friends, and then the rest is pretty much I keep Dr. Moody as one of my greatest mentors, always been there for me, and every time I have a case that I always have question, I'll hit him up and ask him. Yeah,
he's a real stand-up dude. Now, I think you got to have people like that to kind of help guide you and help push you and help you get to the next level. And I know he's done that for a lot of people, and hopefully will continue to do so. Now, you just, after working at Affordable Dentures and Implants, you took the plunge and did a startup practice. Kind of walk me through how you transitioned from full-time somewhere to doing a startup. Did you just pull off the Band-Aid and go all in, or were you able to kind of wean off that, or how's that going? Because I know you've got a beautiful new office and you're working there. So
thank you.
Tell me about that process.
Sure. So when I was with the corporate, I with the numbers and everything was so good to where I saw that if I took over a practice and be an owner, and I could do very well as far as production and make a name for myself in the city. Like I said, the negotiations ended up not happening here with the affordable practice. And what I ended up doing is I knew, ultimately, even if I did affiliated with any corporate, I wanted to have my own practice eventually, no matter what. So what I ended up doing is started looking at kind of like a textbook way of, okay, so what am I looking at? Like 2,000 potential patients for demographics, one dentist, and reading books, a lot of opening up your own practice, listening to a ton of podcasts. I got ideas and I started sketching out what I like to do as far as my size of my operatory. So I started with a block diagram from Design Ergonomics, Massachusetts, a company that they do a lot of design. And I got the block and I took it to Henry Schein people. I'm like, hey, make it happen. And with a lot of Pinterest going back and forth, and pretty much building the place from scratch, it's very difficult because it's like a house, and it's a house that you never built or know any ideas as far as regulations and things like that. So it was a lot of challenge for me to read and be able to come up with a plan where now I got 8 operatory, about 2,800 square feet in Nashville. The rent, it's a rental. Unfortunately, I couldn't afford to buy. So now the rent and the overhead is pretty high being in the city compared to the suburbs, a little bit higher than, and I wish I could get it under, but it's almost impossible to get now to buy a land and build your own. It's almost unheard of because it's a lot of work.
Yeah, I agree. I did something similar. I'd worked at a couple practices. I was looking to start my own version there, and the part of town I wanted to go to, you really couldn't buy land because everything was bought up and developed, because it was a good area. It was highly sought after. And even if I did, it was going to be 1.5 to 2 million just for, an acre. Exactly. So I thought, let's just pick the best part of town, get the best spot. And if you pick the demographics right, you'll make enough money that, paying rent won't matter.
Right.
Long term, you make your money doing the dentistry and not the rental process. And I always figured if I wanted to get into real estate, I could do that elsewhere. But I've got about the same thing. I've got 27 or 2,800. I've got 7 ops, and
nice.
Yeah, kind of designed it off some of the Design Ergo, and some of the same process, like you said. Just get on Pinterest, see what other people are doing, watch, listen to a lot of podcast people, go to some breakaway seminars.
Sure.
Kind of just take the best and the worst of what I saw and what I'd practiced for 5 or so years, and kind of made something of my own. So I know it's really rewarding to finally build out your own place and start getting busy doing implants. Tell me how that's going so far, because I just moved my office, but I kind of had one going already. There's a whole startup process kind of spooked me a little, and being able to feed yourself every month. So
sure. Another cool thing with one of the things I did with affordable, when I started working, like I said, the people were there. I was able to do about 250 collected documenting cases from, honestly, one of the things, and I say it on podcasts, and I've always been advocate of this. When I got out of school, I started taking a lot more pictures and take photography a lot seriously, to where now I have a room really dedicated for my photography room and a studio, like videography. I also have actually a videographer on my staff, like part-time, where I pay him. He does about 15, 20 hours of videos on my patients, some of the things I do. But with the cases and experience I gained, about 250 full arches of locator, about 4 to 6 implants each. I did surgery and the pros, pretty much making the denture. And I've done about 55 to 60 fixed arches of zirconia, and most of the arches I used Kagenics, and and a lot of different frameworks. But that is pretty much what it made me. I became so interested into full arch dentistry, and that's pretty much what I do right now. I try to market that as much as possible. As you know, how marketing can go with these people, especially we don't have a clear choice here in Nashville, but as much as they spend money on marketing is ridiculous. And I have no amount of money close to what they spent on each practice a month to be able to market. So it's good because a lot of those patients that I said, as far as 250, 300 full arches, they pretty much word of mouth and telling their friends, and they see the denture and they like it. And I get a lot of patients from them here at the new office, and at the same time of trying to market and do my own thing. But it's very rewarding, that full mouth dentistry, especially a lot of these over denture cases that I have done that truly changing somebody's life. You can see it and you feel super, it's very rewarding being able to be part of somebody's life. It's funny because I was just listening to a testimonial I had last week. A friend, my videographer, sent me, and the patient was just like, Dr. Raissi, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. And it's just very, very emotional type of dentistry. It's a lot more rewarding to me to do that type of dentistry than changing somebody's few veneers that has been broken and things that type of aesthetic for me, you know?
Yeah, I love it so much more than veneers and crowns. I mean, that's kind of fun, but the full arch dentistry is what really does it for me. You're really impacting someone's quality of life, their confidence. The main function of just putting food and nutrition into your body, and it gives people a sense of wholeness that they were missing out on, or it's just life-changing stuff.
Absolutely.
When you're with affordable dentures, are you able to talk about your fees with that? I mean, what was an arch of?
Yeah, so I was doing
What's an arch go for?
Implant, as far as implants, you as an owner at Affordable or any other affiliate, you pretty much set up your own fee. However you wanna market yourself and be priced as. You can go, and I'm talking average in Affordable affiliate, you could go as much as low as $800-900 per implant, and I'm talking root form.
Sure.
To about $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 per. That's for overdenture and locator, for example. So if you do 4 of those, just to calculate, it'll be almost $4,000 just for the implants. And you do denture, it costs roughly about $1,000 or $2,000 maximum. So you're talking $6,000 an arch with 4 implants and a good, nice set of dentures. And that's for typical, like the average price. So
okay, so per arch, your affordable dentures back there in Nashville was charging somewhere around how much?
Yeah, about $1,000. So just calculate $1,000. If you're doing 10 implants, for example, if you're doing a full arch, upper and lower, extraction, bone grafting, and things like that, you were talking a good $15,000-16,000.
Okay, for upper and lower. Okay, so maybe $8,000 per arch.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah.
Okay. Now, were you doing much fixed out of there?
Right. So a lot of the fixed that I've done, because not everybody had, when they go to Affordable or some of the other practices, you don't have that $20,000, $25,000 fee you can ask.
Sure.
They came in for a $500 advertised denture. And you're selling that in one room and trying to give the other room $20,000. It's just it's hard. And I was able to do it in a way that I had an excellent help by an office manager, and Melinda, her name is, and she's with the corporate, still with executives, and she does the consulting. However, the part of dentistry, when it comes to full arch, it is a different model. Like you cannot just sit down and tell patients like, hey, this is, at least for that type of practice, you kind of got to get them ready. Well, a lot of those patients that I did fixed on, I did the implants in a way, I reduced my bone. I looked in the future and I thought, I want to turn every one of these locator cases to fixed.
Sure.
I already have the implants. Why not take a nice little impression and do a fix and tell the patient, hey, You don't have to pay 20 grand anymore. You could pay 7 or 8 or 10. I don't know, just depending on what kind of prosthetic you want to make them, and make it affordable and at the same time gaining that experience. So that's how I was able to do about 45, 50 arches. Not every one of them were doing 20 grand at the beginning. It was more me trying to make it affordable for them and making it for me to gain the experience, as well as test our lab at the affordable, make sure that our lab techs can come up with the nice prosthetic that we could order on the outside. We can do it out actually inside too. Sure.
What labs were they providing for you?
So they pretty much give you an affordable dentures. The lab comes from they give you a lab, and
they've got a negotiated cost with.
Well, the lab that they give you, pretty much that's how you become affiliated.
Okay.
That you got to make the same day denture. So for example, if you get a patient come in at 7:30 in the morning or 8 o'clock in the morning, and don't quote me on this as far as the timing or some of these, because there are 220 offices, but it's very unique how each individually is run. Some of these practices only work like 8 to 3, for example. They go home at 2 because they're done with the patient, because they came in. They didn't have many, for example, if you do, sometimes you can do as much as 40 units a day. And your lab, you need at least a good 4 or 5 lab techs in the lab to make those dentures and partials for you, because it takes a long time to just kind of fabricate and process and do wax drying in the middle of all of this. So it's a unique model. I recommend for anybody interested with the affordable model, and I can get you in touch. They could always call me. I talk to a lot of affordable affiliates. We do the teaching in Phoenix, Arizona, and also I've been in touch with most of the ones that we taught, and making sure that they're practicing what we taught them and going back to their own practice and making it.
Now, what kind of implants are you placing in your own office right now?
Right now, I'm doing the BioHorizons, laser lock, tapered internal, pretty much about 80-90% of what I put in, and about 10% to 15% Han implants that I got from Glideville. I got a sweet deal when I opened my practice. I got a bunch of Han implants. So they've been good. They're pretty much clone of Nobel Actives. They're very aggressive threads, and I've been happy with them as well.
Yeah, I bought one of their startup packages for.
Oh, you did?
For kind of some extra motors and hand pieces. I just wanted an extra set laying around.
Sure.
And I bought 30, and I thought, well, I'll use those. And I think I placed them all pretty quick. And I actually like the threading on those. I like the very aggressive threads. Not sure if I like the polished collar, but definitely like the threading on those.
Yeah, the threads are nice. The one of the things, every time I go back and forth between my BioHorizon and Han, I gotta definitely reduce the speed on my motor.
Yeah.
Because if you're not watching, it goes very quickly.
Yeah, those things will zip right in, won't they?
They do, and it's good. Again, part of the implant dentistry for me has been the prosthetics, and because of we're both GPs and we like to restore our implants. I like to get that. I like to have a variety of options and freedom of choosing. Hey, what do I want to use on this case? And that's pretty much what I like. I'm very happy with BioHorizons and the folks here they're very close to me in Alabama.
Have you been down there to take a tour?
Yeah, I have. I'm actually a big. I'm in touch with most of their executives, and I like to send cases to Teeth Express and some of these professional photography I've done. Sometimes I like to send it out to them, hey, what do you think? So it's good. It's a very good company with feel like family.
Now, have you taken any of the Teeth Express classes, or are you a provider for that?
I have not become a certified provider yet. I have done many Teeth Express cases.
Sure.
But I have not done now they're pushing for the courses out more and more.
Yeah.
Dr. Ferrier, he's awesome. I love listening to him. I've taken his lecture, an hour courses, and okay. I liked what he had to say and how his approach is to these Teeth Express. So, no, I love to go to one of their courses. It would be nice. Again, it's always you learn something from these courses. Even like you said, with the Maxi course, you're probably going to see so many things you already know back and forth, like you have no problem. But again, there's just so little sometimes you find from somewhere you never expected, and it helps you in big, big ways. So I'm a big fan of CE, always participating in going different cities.
Yeah, no, I'm sure they do a great job.
Yeah.
So with your startup, you've got a lot of experience, and then now you're the owner. How do you go about marketing and bringing these cases in? Because that's always the hardest part for some people. It's like, okay, I go out and I get the training. I think you got to have the right staff, like you talked about. You got to approach these people differently. It's life-changing dentistry. It's not just insurance-based. You're selling bigger cases. You've got to get good ways to finance these things. You've got to work with good labs. But you got to get people calling the phone and in the door. And I think sometimes people, struggle with that as well. Now, being in Nashville, that's a good sized city, and there's a lot of dentists in there. How are you setting yourself apart in your area to carve out your niche? I mean, obviously you've got a good name, but not everybody knows that at first.
Sure. It is hard. I mean, if we all knew something, the way of that marketing, we all be so rich, because it's very different. And part of like Clear Choice and some of the bigger networks, Highbridge or Teeth Tomorrow, or some of those, that they have so much money that they can put in, and that constant flow of not stopping, that helps them with those bigger cases. With us, the little practice private, especially at the beginning, I come down on the price a lot. I try to do volume on a lot of these folks to where I don't charge 25 or 30 grand. I could do maybe 18, 19,000 for a zirconia, for example. And because of that cost, ultimately, a lot of times they do choose you as their provider to do this case for them. One of the things is that knowing the patient, knowing that they could do the sedation and everything in one house, like, because I do the IV, I do the surgery and the pros. That's one of the selling points for me to do that. A lot of patients like that. The other thing is social media, man, like trying to get on all that level. However, like you said, people, this is a type of more expensive dentistry where if they're not ready, it's just you're wasting your time talking to some of these folks because they don't have they don't understand some of these dentistry that definitely cost just as much as their trucks parked outside. So it is very challenging. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's just that part of where if you could compete with them, it would be the money aspect of it. Is they have so much more. With us, every money that we spend or anything, we want to get that return on investment so much quicker. So it's just challenging. It's definitely been different than the corporate model where I had laying 2 full arches a day easy, and now it's I'd be happy with 1 a month. Yeah, no, I know it's different. I find that, like you said, I've got a Clear Choice in town, and I think they charge $25,000 for an arch, and so I'm happy to do it for 20. And yeah. I can cut costs a little, and I'm not paying corporate, so I can do that, and I can offer all the services in house. So most of the GPs in my area, won't do all the processes in house. They refer back a lot, and right. Patients are tired of getting shipped around and bounced around, and they want to find somebody they like and they trust, and who's not corporate and who can do it all in one place. So I feel like those are ways to set yourself apart. No, for sure. And how does that in your practice in the city, Kansas City now, with Clear Choice being there, are you getting patients from them at all? Like, where for second opinion or third opinion? Like, well, I always wonder if they were one in Nashville, I'm probably doing more because of they raise awareness and marketing, right? Yeah, no, I think it's a good thing. It doesn't scare me as far as what I'm doing. I think, everybody in Kansas City knows about it because it's on TV nonstop, and they're paying such a bill to get people aware of implants and to get them in there. So it's actually a good thing because not everybody's a good fit. They are kind of a machine. They kind of chew them up and spit them out. They don't have the personalized care. They take people in, say, yeah, we can slick you. They don't even see the dentist half the time. They kind of treat them and street them. And, it's very corporate from what I hear. So we get a lot of second and third opinions. And, sometimes people will do it with us because
we're just a little cheaper, but a lot of times people do it with us because we kind of TLC and take care of them and, pay attention to the detail for them. And so I think it's a good thing. I don't think Clear Choice is anything to be afraid of, but it's definitely something to be aware of.
Yeah, no, I thought I would. I'm curious just to see how is the vibe in the city with people coming in. Do they know much about the type? Because it's easy to me. I feel like they've already done the job for me. All I have to do is to tell them this is all I got to do, and it's already sold because of all the information and education. Because that's pretty much what I spend a lot of time on in my office. I have set up a consultation room where I sit down with patients, I go back and forth, making sure they understand every step and showing them cases and before, because they like to see previous cases and different material. Because again, with being a corporate or being on your own, I can control a lot of variables and a lot of different things to where I can make patients super happy. It's not like, for example, acrylic or that cookie cutter concept of this is what they get and this is how many adjustment they get. This is how it's a lot more catering for these folks to where they can go in and bring more and more their friends to your practice.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think that's where you kind of win them over is with that personal care.
Absolutely, sure.
So you do a lot of photo and videography. I think that's huge. I think it's important. What tips or tricks or special advice do you have for somebody wanting to get more photography? Any special cameras? You said you've got a video guy that comes in. Have you got any special equipment set up? How are you doing good video these days? Because that's, I think, a big deal.
Yeah, so I think I've always wanted to be like ahead of the curve. Feel like you connect so much more in so many levels with video now than even pictures alone. I take pictures myself. When I got out of school, like I said, I had no idea anything about even camera or photography. I got a bunch of apps and I started reading, and then I bought a Nikon D810, which is badass. I love my camera. It's almost the whole setup for me, trying to put bits and pieces of macro lens and macro flash and brackets and things almost cost me about $5,000 or $6,000. However, for anybody starting out, they don't have to spend that much. They can start easily with a decent camera. I think there's right now Blue Sky Bio is doing like cheap quality, or not cheap quality, but like more affordable camera for people that don't know how to take photography or they need help for the camera to be automatic. And when I started taking pictures, I realized looking back, so many things that I could have improved on for the next case or do more. And it honestly, you know how I don't know if you've had CERAC before, in a corporate for a period, I had CERAC where, you know how you can cut your prep and you look at it and you're like, oh shit, I need to get better at this and that. And it's the same thing with the photography, with especially macro photography, where looking back, I got better and better and started posting them on my social media on Instagram page, where I started gaining followers. Like I didn't even have a page till I started posting pictures, and I started gaining followers to where people started asking questions. And I was approached by a lot of folks in the social media business with the dentistry to speak with them and do some teaching. One of them being Implant Compare, over a network of almost 30,000 dentists, where I did live surgery. And they could come in and they would kind of video me in pictures, and people take a lot of live streaming. Doctors ask questions, and like when I do full arch cases. So I've done a few of those. And I just on my personal page where I post cases on daily, I got almost 5,000-6,000 followers, which is awesome because you do it for fun. And then it became like a habit where I started now religiously taking pictures of my cases before and after, especially when I know it gets challenging, because sometimes you have these cases where it's very hard, but documenting a photography with it where you could see how you either what are the ways that you could have done, or some of the advantages of what you did. So it's I love it, man. The photography makes dentistry so much even more enjoyable. And I know you yourself, Philip, you post a lot of cases, and I admire you for that. It's it's amazing because with what you're putting out there, especially on Facebook, that you get so much exposure, and a lot of people don't have the balls to post. So it's great to do it, what you're doing. I definitely give you that. It's great.
Well, I'm just trying to show what I'm doing in my office and show what I'm doing behind my doors. And it's not to say that, this is the only way to do it or I'm the best at it. It's just, here's what I'm doing. What do you guys see? What are you doing in your office? And I think, it's a collective learning. I think everyone can, help be part of the group and throw something in there. And I think, that's what dentistry needs is, collaboration and not so much tearing each other down, but more so, being collaborative with ideas. So.
No, absolutely. It's great. Especially what you're posting and interacting, you help so many people that are out there just seeing these cases and knowing that, I could ask you or if I had a case, they could always bring it up and ask questions. So it's very, very cool. I mean, what we can do now these days with the videos is just the problem is the timing that it takes forever to try to load them and do all that.
It is. Yeah. I try to take a lot of photos and videos, and you're right. When you study your photos and x-rays and go back and look at things, it can challenge you to get better, and it can challenge you to see, where you did good and where you did bad, and help teach yourself, not just others. Because you always got to be looking at your own game and, how can I continue to get better and how can I get these results better for the patients? And
no, it's absolutely what I've done. We have a podcast and I'd love to get you on there too. It's called Millennial Dentist.
Okay.
And we talk about photography and videography. And I've been able to get a lot of folks, especially young dentists, to start documenting their cases. And even that veneer work or the crown work and whatever they do, it's good to see how this turns out in the future. Even looking back at some of your cases, there was a professor in one of the classes saying that if I look back and I saw a picture from 3 years ago and I have not improved, I stopped doing it. Like you could see how much you're gaining momentum and getting better and better with surgical perspective, either now if it would be implants or cutting crown or even some stuff as easy as building an onlay or direct composite or some of the fillings,
Yeah. Now, I got on your office website and I looked up, you've got a seminar coming up here.
Yeah.
The 22nd, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I too am also hosting a implant seminar on the 22nd.
Oh, nice.
So when is yours going to be? I can't attend, of course, but when are you putting it on?
Well, mine is going to be pretty much for public and 6:00 at night. It'll be meet and greet with patients. I get a lot of people that ask questions on implants. They want to know the cost. They want to know how it's done, how many appointments, what is implant, what's titanium, what's abutment, and I'm big on education, especially when somebody needs to pay about 10 grand. They really need to know part of what are they paying for and what is it taking them to get it. And I thought of starting with my own seminar series of every couple months, do these in the office and raise awareness for a lot of these folks. Maybe take some x-rays at them the same day if they're here to kind of move things forward. And it, again, one of those ways of trying to market your name and get you out there to where you start speaking and people hear from you. And I'm excited. Actually, next week I need to actually put the PowerPoint together. But I think it'll be a cool thing to do.
Yeah, this is my first one. Mine's for the public too. This is
okay.
Yeah, this is just for cases. Bringing people in, like you said. I've got one planned Tuesday, the 22nd, and then I've got another one Thursday, the 24th. I'm doing 2 of them that week. And
how do you market on that? What is your? Because I'm doing a lot of social media and Google stuff with it. Nothing crazy.
Well, I went a little more. I kind of ran up some money for doing mine, but I can share with you some different tips. But I did some flyers, and I was going to do some radio, but I got a good enough response through some direct mail.
Okay.
So I'm going to stick with that. And I filled, now granted, I thought about doing it in my office, but my lobby isn't quite big enough. So I'm actually going to a dinner. I'm going to serve dinner, and I've reserved a room.
Nice.
And so I'm going to give away a free dinner in a room, and take my staff over, and they can meet the staff. I'll go through the
Sure.
presentation, talk about treatment options. Here's one tooth, here's a bridge, here's a an implant bridge, here's a overdenture, here's a full mouth set, and just kind of take people who are kicking the tires and see if now's the time, and if we're the right team to help them with. And I'm thinking it should be successful, but we should follow up here at the end of the month and trade stories and see how we can.
Absolutely. I feel like a slacker because a lot of people told me about more market, like you need to spend a good, I don't know, there are numbers, but $5 or $6 grand or $7 grand on each one of these seminars, and not worry about how many would show up, especially at the beginning where nobody really knows and what
Sure.
you do. And so I needed to do more, but I feel like that would be the next time. I just wanted to get an idea for the first time, like what do I need to do, and then in the future, like I'll be honestly happy with if I get 10 people in, 10, 15, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
It's not really the number. If you can get 30 people and nobody make a decision that night, you've lost so much.
Yeah, exactly.
You get like 5 people to show up and 2 of them make a commitment that pays for the whole dinner and the spot that you paid for. So
yeah, it's more about the quality than the quantity.
Sure.
With this kind of dentistry, it's not about quantity. It's about the quality.
Sure. Yeah, I'd like to. I mean, the TV and radio. That's another thing I've been looking at now, especially TV, where part of my marketing will come in. Instead of dropping so much money on Google every month and Facebook, switch gears and go to some of these before after show stuff on TV. Maybe I could get more calls.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of depends what market you're in. If you're in a big city, TV and radio get real expensive real quick.
Yeah.
But, it can be a good way to get in front of people. Google's good because you can limit your searches. Sometimes having a good sign on a busy road and doing direct mail can be effective. It all really kind of depends what city you're in and all that. Yeah, I'd love to compare notes with you at the end of the month after we both go through it. We did one seminar. I lied. This is actually my second seminar. My first seminar we really didn't market that much. And we had a great seminar, but we only had a handful of people.
Right.
So I thought, okay, I think this process will really work. I just need to put more qualified people in the chair. So that's when I branched out and started doing a little more marketing.
And that's good. I truly admire you for that, because a lot of people get scared and they stop doing it and they don't. But I think what you're doing, even after this, keep doing it, where I feel it'll definitely return, if not more. A lot of people say it's not worth it. It doesn't work like LASIK surgeons do or the ophthalmologists for the seminar. But I do feel, especially with the full arch cases, a lot of those folks spend months thinking about before making a decision. And some of these seminars will make you stand out, especially when the patient knows, or they narrow it down between few docs and they know that this guy teaches or does the seminar compared to the other one. So I'm going to go to him. So I think it's a good way to do it.
Yeah. I thought anything that takes you slightly out of your comfort zone is probably a good thing. So
yeah, it is. It's always challenging and doing the things where it makes it, like, as I said, I even need to put some my PowerPoint together and mix of all of this stuff that I got to do for the office. It's challenging for sure. Set it up, manage it, and make it happen.
Well, we can share some notes on that, and if anything we do works, we can put something together and do something in the future. So I will. I'll get a hold of you later this month. So I've probably got a million questions I could ask you, but I know we're both on our lunch hour and got to go.
Yeah, man. No, it's all good. I'm very happy to talk to you. I'd love to get you in our podcast if you don't mind. Millennial podcast would get a lot of young dentists would love to hear your story. hear, I follow you pretty good on Facebook. Every day I get on it. There are 20 notifications, 18 of them is you doing something. Philip Gordon. I love the energy and the activity. I feel like you're truly aspiration for a lot of young folks. So I'd love to get you on my podcast with Soli and get you hear about your journey, man.
Well, that'd be great. I'll tell you what, let's schedule that after we do those seminars.
Yeah.
And then we can have some stuff to talk about. We can share audiences. There's nobody's hardly heard of my podcast, so I'm hoping I can gain some audience through yours. And
for sure. It'd be good.
We can kind of share some stories that way. So
yeah, man. It's been awesome, man.
Yeah, Dr. Peyman, I appreciate your time. We will catch up again, and I'll follow up with you in the near future.
All right, Philip. Take care, man.
All right, take care, buddy. Bye.